Thank you all for coming. Before first thing I want to do is just say, I'm standing here as District Governor-elect to become District Governor. You see a big smile on Ryan's face there, to get bigger and bigger as the months go on. But it's not just me, you know, there's a whole district team here. I've got some of the people on the district team right here. We've got the team leads, who you'll deal with for all the projects and the things that we do, foundation as well. We've got all the assistant governors, or actually not enough assistant governors. There's 4 gaps there. So if you get excited today and think, I really want to do this Rotary thing even more, come and see me or Brian or Carol, and we'll see what we can do with it. And then there's the district governor team itself, with me, I'll be the district governor, Brian, immediate past, Alistair over there as district governor nominee. But most importantly, we have our district secretary, Carol, who none of us could do anything without Carol. So, and the treasurer as well, who was taking in the audience as well. Thank you. So now I'm going to move on to, sorry, I want to say is, these are just the team leads. There are teams of people below them, not below them, working with them, making everything happen. And there are always things that are worth doing, so come and see me again if you can't do anything more. Exactly. I should say actually that this session and the district venture as well is being broadcast on Zoom to some people who couldn't make it, who are too far away to make it, like in Germany or Orkney. So hello to those who Zoom as well. They can see me and hear me. Is it okay, Kathleen? Yeah. Let's just go into a session first of a message from our incoming Rotary International President, Mario. And you can see the rest of his name there. I'm not going to it's quite funny when some of the people from Rotary GP and I pronounce his name and they get proud when they get quite close to it. Mario just smiles. I'm just going to play a little video for a message that, part of a message that he gave us in Orlando at the National Assembly.
Rotary's greatest asset is not our history, our projects, or even our unmatched global reach. It's our members, the best qualified team of volunteers on the planet. I learned this lesson early on during the Atlanta Convention, when a representative from one of our polio partners praised the extraordinary dedication of our members. That recognition from an outsider deepened my understanding. Rotary's greatest gift to the world is its people. Today, I want to share our roadmap to membership growth and revitalization, guided by 3 essential pillars: innovation, continuity, and partnership. These principles are not just strategies. They are a call to action to rejuvenate Rotary, to attract new voices and perspectives, and to strengthen our service to communities worldwide. The world is changing, often at a dramatic pace. Technology, social expectations, economic conditions evolve constantly, and Rotary must evolve with them. As Tommaso di Lampedusa wrote in Il Gattopardo, for everything to stay the same, everything must change. Innovation is how we adapt to this changing world. It's not just about welcoming younger members, but also engaging senior individuals seeking purpose and connection. At 68 years old, I know firsthand how fulfilling it is to find a community of peers. Consider the example of my home club, Sant André, a thriving legacy club with 150 members. My wife, Denise, helped charter a satellite club, creating a space for almost 50 remarkable women to lead in their own way. Satellite clubs, cause-based clubs, enterprise clubs, passport clubs are examples of the flexibility we need to attract a diverse group. While these models may not work everywhere, they offer us the opportunity to reach future Rotarians outside our traditional frameworks. Future Rotary members are out there. We must meet them where they are. Rotary's history of polio eradication teaches us an invaluable lesson. Alone, we can achieve great things, but together, we can change the world. Partnerships with organizations like the Gates Foundation, WHO, and UNICEF have been instrumental in the global $23 billion investment over 40 years to eliminate polio. We would never have made this much progress alone. So why not apply this lesson to membership growth? Partnering with business associations, professional organizations, and academic institutions can help us attract quality members while embracing diversity in professions and perspectives. Such partnerships eliminate the false dilemma of quantity versus quality. By reaching out to professionals who share our values of service and engagement, we can expand Rotary's capacity to do good in the world. Ultimately, all our achievements, projects, and partnerships depend on our members. Membership growth is not just about numbers. It's about renewing our collective strength and ensuring our mission endures. First, we must acknowledge that no one lives forever. Sadly. The only hedge against aging clubs is the constant admission of new members. Second, our capacity for service grows with our membership. More members mean more hands to help and more resources to invest in our community. Third, succession planning is critical. Clubs either grow or dwindle. There is no such a thing as stable membership. We must make recruitment and retention a core value, passing it from one generation of Rotary members to the next. By doing so, we ensure that Rotary remains vibrant and impactful for decades to come. Rotary members are people of action, remember? We don't wait for change to happen. We make it happen. And what do people of action do? What do people of action do? We unite for good. And that's our presidential message for 2025-26. Unite for good. In a world often divided, Rotary stands as a beacon of unity and hope. Our projects bring together people of all races, religions, genders, ideologies, economic backgrounds, uniting us in a shared purpose, the good of the world.
There we go. The message for 526 is Unite for Good. It's a message now, no longer a theme, it's a message. If you want to understand the difference, you can come and see it. If I understand. Pick up a couple of quotes from Mario in there. He said that the route to advancing Rotary is innovation, continuity, and partnership. And he also said, alone we can achieve great things, but together we can rule the world. Okay, we did that with polio, but we can, as he said, we can do something like that as local district or member or clubs. And just to pick up a couple of things that I really appreciate from this talk, he spoke about partnership and spoke about working together. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's the idea of working together. Because we can achieve so much more than working alone. You want to do that. As a club, you work together to do things, to do your projects. But how often have you thought of a new idea, or somebody's come to you with an idea for a new project, and you said, yeah, it's a great thing, we'd love to do that, but we just don't have enough people. We can't do it ourselves. Well, why do it yourselves? I was in a club visit a couple of weeks ago when somebody asked me, is it okay to bring in local Rotary clubs to help us with our projects? And of course I said, yes, please do. That's what I want to see us doing. We should be working together. We're getting smaller, we're getting fewer members, but we can still do great things if we gather together. I'm not saying join clubs together, that's not what I want at all. I want you to work together. So you're neighbouring 3 or 4 clubs, together, join together, and get on and do things. There's loads of examples already, and I know that John's going to have a lot of them, but I can't remember the Allen ones, but
Pressure Pride.
Yeah, Pressure Pride, yeah.
First Renewal Club.
That's right.
Yeah. And we've been working with a number of clubs with the Ukraine project, so raising $188,000 with Warsaw City Rotary Club, with Milan North Rotary Club, Bridge of Allen, Dublin. There's quite a few clubs in our districts, and a whole bunch of stuff out.
Right, so working together, it does work. You can get some big numbers when you do that. So, what I want you to do when you come up with projects is, instead of your first thought being, how can we do this, or we can't do this ourselves, your first thought should be, who can we do this with, so that you've got more chance of achieving good in the world. And actually, it's probably more fun to do that, because when you're meeting with different people, you're working with different people. And that's what work is about, isn't it? Having fun. So I encourage you, please get out there to Unite for Good. But Brian introduced the action plan to you last year. And the action plan, it's all about looking at how Rotary can change to make it more attractive. And there was the 5 strands in it: increasing our impact, expanding our reach, blah, blah. Probably seen quite a lot of this. I know Brian speaks about it a lot when he's on his tours. Quite right, because this is what Rotary International wants us to do. This is how we should be working. And there's a bit of detail there, how they can do that. But when you think about it, we've been asking you, or they've been asking us, to look at change and improving things for years now. And we have. We have all our club meetings are a bit less formal. They all, there's not so much of the chain or the bell or things like that. I mean, who would have thought that a few years ago your DGE would be here in a t-shirt? It would be a shirt and tie, wouldn't it? Just like 2-3 years ago. I think the informality is great. And we've got there, we've done that. But my feeling is that most clubs have gone as far as they feel comfortable with. They don't really want to do any of the big, massive changes that are being proposed, like doing away with the meals or whatever, because people
we can
like
see
what
you.
they've
We
got
can
just
see
now.
your screen. We can see you too.
But that doesn't really mean anything, does it? That's really got in a lot of new members. We are growing as an industry.
Kind of here, and we can see you too. We can see the slides.
Everything.
That's what.
So there's much more that we could do. So here's an idea for you. Instead of using your club, why don't you set up a companion club alongside yourself? Still your club, but the companion club would need to have different day. They might not meet at all, they might just be together on the Zoom. Or they might get together for a coffee on a Saturday morning in the local coffee shop. There's lots of people out there. You probably have people yourselves who come along to your meetings, said, I quite like what you do and I quite like doing this type of thing. But I can't come out every Thursday, or I can't afford the time to do the meals, or I can't even afford the cost of the meals. But if you're quite willing to take part in a lot of meetings with yourself on your side, alongside you, part of your club, but there you go. You could do some combined projects, or you could do separate projects. Maybe your main club would take on the youth competitions and get another young instrumentalist award, or sorry, young vocalist award. Or you could keep the international work, and the companion club would do the environmental stuff and whatever. It's up to you. I'm not saying this is how you do it. Just an idea. Just giving you some ideas, make you think about it. And you probably all come together again at Christmas time because the Santa sleigh needs all hands on deck, isn't it? It's the busiest time of the year. And maybe, just maybe one or two of your current members would say, actually, I fancy the idea of that other club better than the main club. So what? They're still members of your club. Let them go out there, still be friends with them. You'll still be working with them. Just think about it, please. So that's two things I've spoken about there. Working together with others, so working together as clubs. And you could also think about pulling in other organisations in the area. It doesn't have to be Rotary clubs. You could get your local community council or your scouts or all the other organisations that are in your area. Work with them as well. That's another way of doing it, and just getting more work, get more hands to do the job, to do the projects. And also thinking about different ways of getting together. How the Rotary meets, if you like. I've tried that work. I shouldn't be saying meetings so much because I think meetings are just what to put people off. But however you want to come together, let's think about new ways of doing it. A bit of innovation, like Mario said. So that's me kind of caught up on my time again because I was 10 minutes late. So apologies if it felt a bit rushed. Kathleen, you able to do it? Because we have to remember that we're just Rotary. We are also Rotary. Rotary is a very, very important part of our organisation. That's Kathleen, our district Rotary representative. Give us a quick update on where Rotary is in the district. I hope you're there. Oh, right, sorry.
So I'm just being mindful that I've got Zoom on my phone. That's fine. So, yeah, good morning everyone. Nice to meet you all. I think I've probably met most of you now, but I'm Kathleen, I'm one of the district road track rep, as it says there, and also part of the Aberdeen Road Track Club. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to allow me to give you an update today. Yeah, so how road tracks doing in the district? I guess first of all, we used to have 4 road track clubs, which is Aberdeen, Murray, Dundee, and St Andrews. And unfortunately, in this year, in the past year, we've lost Dundee and St Andrews Club just because there's no members to keep it going. But we still do have Murray and Aberdeen Club, and I think we will try to work with their sponsor clubs to try to revive and recharter the Dundee and St Andrews road track clubs. They are both they were both university-based clubs, so hopefully if we can get to freshers and things like that, we will be able to get some people that are interested. So Murray Rotary Club currently have 8 members. I think a few weeks ago I contacted them and they said they weren't too sure if they were able to kind of keep the club going. They were all slightly busier with their personal lives and careers this year. But they had an update from them yesterday following their club meeting, and they said that they're hopefully to keep the club going as well. So hopefully there'll be more kind of projects from them coming this year, because they are have been a very active club for a long time. I can see Alicia there. So I think Aberdeen Rotary Club is doing fine, doing quite well. We have, so I should say, Murray and Rotary Club are both community clubs, so we do have community members as well as relying on university students as well. So Aberdeen, we currently have 13 members, and it's probably a half and half mixture of people who are working or PhD, and also kind of students in undergraduate courses. And hopefully we can keep that numbers going. We have been quite active with various projects this year, so I'm sure you would have seen kind of things circulated around. We had our quiz night earlier this year, which was our first ever one, which we raised over 500 for kind of charity donations to be used in things like food banks and all sorts locally. We also organised a Miles for Polio project, so we aimed to achieve 1,985 miles by running, walking or cycling, and that is to celebrate the Polio Plus started in 1985. And we did achieve that in a month and a half. The original plan was a month, and along with that there was a fundraiser with it as well. We still kept some of the speaker projects as well as volunteering with the local charities. So we did Feast Race in Central Land, which are run by Charlie House, and we also participated in the Rotary Shoebox project with Rotary Sumbacher, and we contributed 20 shoeboxes. And we also organised our first Friday morning, which I think it went fairly well for our first one. I think we raised about 300. And there's upcoming and ongoing projects. We've got International Cookbook, which we have been collecting recipes. So what it is we're collecting recipes from various Rotary clubs all around the world to make a cookbook with starter, main and dessert options. That has been quite a slow and long journey, just to wait for people to reply and see if clubs are active or not. But we're getting there. And mainly to go along with that is our second international dinner, which it's on the 12th of April, so about 2 weeks, Saturdays from now, and it will be at Fountain Hall Church Centre. That will recirculate that again out to kind of the wider clubs in the district. Everyone's welcome. It's £10 for Rotarians, Rotractors and members, and 15 for non-members, Rotary family and friends, and they all will go to a charitable cause. We're still deciding. It's for international, so I think it's going towards more kind of for the Myanmar earthquake and that as well. We will just have 40 to 44 people, so do sign up quick when we send a link around. There will be a lot of good food, so you'll definitely get your money's worth. Yeah, so I think that summarises my update. It's a fairly quick one, but I think I'm around, and I think some of you have spoken to me already, but I'm around all day if you need to speak to myself or Alex, who's our president in the Rotary Club today, if anything that we can assist with. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Kathleen. And remember the theme of working together, the local actors are there as well. And we quite often come out and help with the clubs with various things. So don't forget to ask them. Now I'm going to hand over to our District Governor, Ryan, who's going to speak about something else.
Yes. Every year, Rotary International gives out a few very, very special awards, which is the Service Above Self Award. And we ask districts to apply, and districts are allowed to apply for one person every year, but only a few of these awards are granted. And that's basically what they're looking for, somebody who's given a lifetime to Rotary, not just service in their club and service in their community, but international service in a variety of roles. It's my great pleasure today to, first of all, we found we were successful in our nomination. And I tell you, this is really heavy. Can I invite John Anderson, please, to come and accept Rotary International's Service Above Self Award. George from Fraserburgh, and my thanks to President Bill for bringing this to our attention and giving us the background detail. So can we have a huge round of applause.
Thank you, Ryan. I don't think I've ever seen a Service Above Self Award presented before, so well done, John. Excellent. So that's just about it from me. Holding you back from the interesting bits. As you're aware, we're changing the format of the district assembly a bit, maybe going back kind of to what it used to be, and sending you off to, or some of you, off to some individual sessions on membership, public image, foundation, and youth projects, or youth opportunities. And in addition to that, we now move into the district council session, which I'm going to, in a second I'll hand over to Brian and Carol to run that. So the idea is that those of you who want to, or believe that you need to, stay for district council, stay in this room. Others, move out the top door there and follow the signs, and you'll see separate rooms for the 4 separate topics. Each of these will take an hour or so, or it'll be an hour, and then at 12 o'clock we will change over. So the council will be finished at 12 o'clock, won't it, Carol?
Yes.
And your individual sessions, you can then, if you're done with the foundation one, you want to hear about membership, then you just change rooms, and they'll be run again. And in this room, Carol will then take over the district secretary sessions, and they are slightly different. The district secretary session are 2 separate sessions. So if you're a district incoming secretary or current secretary, probably best to stay in this room for both sessions 1 and 2. But you've got the opportunity to go to other stuff now if you want to, if you don't want to do council. And then we'll all come back in here again at 3 o'clock. I should have mentioned, because lunch is at 1. It's kind of important, isn't it? So lunch is back in the restaurant where you had the coffee at the beginning of the day. And we can mingle again. Alison will still be there with our shop, selling more goodies. Please get yourselves branded properly. I'm sure that's one of Steve's topics, is correct branding. And then after lunch, final kind of individual sessions is from 2 to 3, where secretary part 2, membership, public image, foundation, and youth. And then we'll all come back in here again at 3 o'clock for a quick wrap up. Any question and answer sessions that you want to do, anything that you didn't get out of individual sessions that you want to ask any of the team, we can do that here. And then we'll finish by 3:30 or earlier. Up to you. There you go, Carol, over to you. Anybody who wants to go off to the other rooms, feel free.
I'm staying here.
Thanks very much for members on stage. It's going to be interesting to see if this format works on the council as part of the assembly. My favourite format is what Ireland does, where at the end of their conference on a long Saturday, they had the council at 4:15, and everybody was totally exhausted. So I just thought this is so welcome to the format. And as Graham said, try and cut down on the number of meetings we have and become more efficient. And it's part of us trying to adapt. My first job is to read out the apologies to a number of clubs and individuals. Apologies from Aberdeen District, Aboyne and Upper Deeside, Ian Brunton from Anstruther, Ardern District, Bridge of Allen and Dunblane, Central Buchan, Crieff and Fernland, Forfar, Jackie Stephen from Forest, Huntley, Inverness, Lochnet, Nairn, and two of our AGs can't be here, Michelle Anderson and Neil Ferguson. So that's the apologies from them. Now, Carol, of course, issued all the papers, so everybody's got them and you've read them all. So the first item is the note of the previous meeting, which was 15th September 2024. And believe me, that seems like a long time ago. So can we have someone to approve the minutes? And seconded? Okay, thanks very much. Now, the biggest thing in any council meeting is the budget. So I will take a hasty retreat and I'll pass over to David Anderson. You've all been given the details of the budget for 25-26. And that's it scrolling up there for last readers amongst you. So,
can you turn down the lights again, please? We can see it at the back.
you have to turn them all off to turn the front on. Right, that better?
Not a lot.
Can't read anything here. Right, David, will still any particular questions anybody has on the budget? And there are two follow-up items for this year's budget and next year. This year's budget. David.
Good morning all, thanks all for coming along. The budget, as you can see on the report, was circulated to clubs 3 weeks prior to this meeting. I don't propose to go through every item line by line. I've been at meetings with various organisations, the treasurers do that, and but the bullet points, in the current year, we budgeted for, incomes are running pretty much apart, as we tend to do so normally. Expenditures, we budgeted for £54,000 in total this year, and I'm expecting a final outcome of 45,000. So our expenditures likely to end up about 9,000 lower than budget. We also looked at the reserves. Now, the reserves are a figure that we're saying should be bound to stay above by the and they've been running at 58,000 for a number of years. There is a formula that dictates what these should be, and in view of districts doing an awful lot more meetings and so on by Zoom, a lot of costs are a lot lower than they were a few years back. So the reserves are now, we're going to be comfortable with a £50,000 figure for reserves for on to, no, sorry, I'll do a couple of things on current year first before we move on to next year. There are a couple of motions which we'll come to in a minute, just to give some background, because legislation dictates that any expenditure line item that's going to run over budget needs to have council approval. And in the current year's budget, there are two items which are going to need approval because they're going to come out above budget. One of these is the RI President visit taking place in June. That wasn't foreseen or known about when the budget was drawn up this time last year, and therefore we've got to expect to pay about £3,000 to accommodate that visit. And secondly, and this is something as a treasurer I'm very happy about, but the membership and public image club support grants have been incredibly popular over the last 2 or 3 years. We only budgeted maybe a bit unwisely in hindsight for £1,200 in the current year. There have been a flood of grants, which is fantastic. So much so we've actually had to put a cut on any new ones coming through, which is a cause on that until the end of the year. But we're going to have to up the budget for these because they were so successful. So that's a nice problem to have. But as I say, even with those 2 unexpected items, we're still looking at an outturn of 9,000 lower expenditures than we planned. On to next year then. So our total income is budgeted to be 33,700, and that's on the basis of increase of £1 in the club capitation fee. I should say that our capitation fee at the proposed level of £9 is still very considerably lower than the nearest lowest district in Aberdeen. Well below. I don't know who the second lowest is, but they're much more. On expenditures, we're budgeting for a total spend of £59,750. The majority of these items are broadly on par with the current year budget. 4 of them stand out as being a bit more and worthy of discussion or explanation. First of all, the 5th item on the expenditure, district meetings and road shows. Current year 2,500. We're going to budget for 4,000 next year, and that largely is due to the road shows rather than the district meetings, because a few of these have been tried this year. They've been proved very successful, and it's felt we should very much encourage it. The second one is on the club support grant. Because of its popularity, we're going to budget 3,000 for these next year. The PI consultancy, current year 7,500, next year budgeting 10,000. Graham will talk a bit more on that one. And finally, I've lost my place. Where's the course? Youth, yes, youth from 7,000 to 8,500. That's a sort of variety of reasons. The prize money has been kept at the same levels for a bit too long, and also venue costs for district youth final and things are keeping up. So that one's having to go to 8,500. And the final point to note is that proposed to maintain no charge to clubs for youth competition fees. That's been the case for the last 5 years now. We're looking at what to maintain that for at least another year.
There's 3 things in there. One is the budget for next year. One is the current year's budget for that PI increase. Another one is for the RI President's visit. Now, you'll notice with the PI one, we've budgeted, and we're going over budget, and we need council approval to go over budget. So with the RI President's visit, it's going to be nowhere near 3,000. But if we put an estimate in and ran over it, we need to ask you all back for another council meeting. So we're putting in a guesstimate of 3,000. We worked that out, and I was very pleased speaking to my colleague in Scotland South. They've budgeted the same amount for it. It's not going to be anything near that, but we need that kind of ceiling just to make sure we don't go over and you're not dragged out from another meeting. So there's the 3 separate aspects there. What order do we want to take them in, Carol?
If I can just check first of all, we did ask for any questions to be submitted to David ahead of the meeting, just so that if there was any detail required, might say that you didn't get any. No news was good news in terms of that element of it. However, we welcome the opportunity if anybody has any questions before we move to the vote. And I think, Graham, did you want to make a mention on the public image one? So maybe let's go ahead first.
Yeah, Mary Watt, Morgan. It's not really a question for David. It's just a question about the increase for public imaging, which I think is excellent. I just wanted some assurance that we would get some feedback, perhaps 12 months on, to see how our membership has increased, hopefully, as a result of the effort and impetus that's been put into expanding our reach. So that was my question.
In terms of the advertising we've done in the PNG, it's been running since the end of January. So we haven't seen an impact in terms of numbers. We're in fact, it leads to Rotary GB&I direct membership. And we keep them on it then to let us know, are they getting leads for it. But it has been very much focused on raising kind of brand awareness of Rotary at the moment. So, hand in heart, we can't say, yeah, we've got 14 new members that come in through that. But we still like to continue it, and we're talking about how we continue it into next year. So that's Graham's.
Yeah, so thanks for the lead in there, Mary. So as Brian said, we do have the current P&J campaign happening, which has to happen. We contracted it for a year. So we have to continue paying for that campaign into next December at least. The thinking, so part of the money in there is to continue paying that campaign. But that is just P&J, so it's really just half of the district. And we're quite likely to get comments from the southern half of the district saying, what about us? So based on, or depending on how successful the P&J campaign is, we are looking to see what we can do in the southern half, so do a similar campaign down there, which will be the rest of the budget that's in there. But that will only happen if we see some success from the current one. We have to prove that it's worth putting more money in. Having said that, it may, the P&J or the newspaper, online newspaper-based campaign might not be the right way to go. So if it doesn't work, and we don't feel it's working enough, we'll try and look at something different, and we'll still have money there to do something different in the southern half of the district next year. So that's what the money is for. It's not guaranteed we're going to spend it. It is dependent on success. So, makes sense? Are you okay with that? Thank you.
Ken McLennan, Forest Rotary. I introduced part of this public image a couple of years ago as district governor. I also want to comment that we, as Rotary Britain and Ireland, we've been listening to some clubs and what clubs are asking for. And a lot of the things they're asking for is a bigger public image on Rotary. So it's not just a membership benefit in the short term. It's actually us giving back and being able to raise the awareness of Rotary. And some of the P&J articles have been doing that. So anything, I think the feedback on actual numbers is pretty slow burn, but the actual image that we're getting out there, I think, is pretty positive. So I would certainly support that.
Sorry for not submitting early notification, but how is the deficit covered?
From reserves. The reserves were allowed to build up. We run a few surpluses, especially during the COVID years, and the reserves are allowed to build up quite substantially above. So that's made able to run deficits for the next year. There's no real merit in the district having loads of £100,000 in reserve to stay there. So we're a measured reduction in reserves over the last 2, 3, 4 years by management.
Sorry.
I take it we'll see for the number at the end of this year, it says 76,000 or surplus. We've got that in the bank somewhere, or invested somewhere.
Okay. ready to go to series of votes. Carol, do you want to open the vote?
Okay, just in terms of proposed with a vote, either a club or a personal vote, and you'll have your little blue slip. There's a chance to put it out of your back pocket or wherever you got it. It's a shame. Based on that. So the first motion is that this district council approves the district budget 25-26. If you are in favour of that motion, can I ask you to show your voting slip now? Can I ask anybody against the motion? And anybody who wishes to abstain? That vote is carried. Thank you very much. Moving on, the second motion on your agenda, that this district council approves an increased budget of £2,900 for public image and membership club support grants for this current Rotary year. Again, if I can ask you if you're in favour of that, to show your blue slip now. Perfect. Again, anyone against? And any club wishing to abstain? Again, thank you, that motion is carried. And the final one, that this district council approves a budget of £3,000 in respect of the RI presidential visit. Again, if I can ask everybody to show if you are in favour. Excellent. Can I ask you to show if you're against? And anyone choosing to abstain. Oh, this is awful easy. I'm delighted therefore to declare all the motions have been carried by this district council.
One final
Did I spoil it? Maybe.
This is off the record, but this time of the year, I get a thorough email from what saying we're about to have an AGM. What are the RGB ideas expected to be? And if there are a few people here, they could all sort of pass it on to the treasurer, that would be useful. But the official answer always is, I don't know, because it will not be decided until the annual business meeting in May. However, the Chinese whispers answer is 85, maybe 86, likely 85.
I would just perhaps mention that for the club secretaries, you've probably received the papers on the 21st of March for the annual business meeting, and you will find some of that information.
What are they this year, David?
82.
The top three.
Okay, thanks all for that. As I say, we're very excited about the visit of the RI president to the district until we find that we've got a paper all. Anyway, the next bit is we've got the executive reports, executive members and team leaders reports for you, and they all went out with the papers. And I think really just any questions on that at all? Any clarity you want on it? On a personal level, I've visited a huge number of clubs and been very, very impressed by finding out all the fantastic projects that are going on around the district. Really, really amazing. Exhausting to get around, but absolutely amazing. Right, that's fine. We'll move on from that. Yes.
Can I maybe just mention the shelter box?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, you mentioned. Oh, yes. In addition to Claire's shelter box update, because of the recent earthquake in Myanmar, so our shelter box are just on the case to the huge amount of resources in there. So if anybody can, any club can give extra help to shelter box to help out for that horrendous situation there, that's obviously going to be much appreciated. Claire's been doing a terrific job promoting shelter box, but it's not here today, but we wanted that evident.
The full details for anybody who is interested will be in the everybody's favourite email, club secretaries and club presidents, the newsletter of the 1st of April. I'll include all the details in there. I have had an inquiry as well asking about whether or not there might be any support from Foundation or disaster funds or any other response from Rotary. I've not heard anything as yet. And what I would say is that very much we always say the Rotary Foundation is not an emergency first responder. That's very much Shelter Box and other similar charities and organisations. It is about sustainability. We're running his own session, but I'm sure Brian would echo that as District Foundation Chair. So it may be there will be other avenues that may open up, but and we will keep you updated as soon as we have those. But at this moment in time, that's all the information that we have for any clubs that you wish to support. Is affected just
Is it widely known that there is a shelter box stored in Kinross now for those in the south end of the district?
Yes, I think Karen used that.
I haven't seen that, so that's why I wonder.
Yeah, I'll double check that. So yeah, there's not one in the north. Yes, there is one in the north.
Forest have.
I was going to say, sure, sorry, Andy, sorry, I couldn't mind saying, yes. But no, so what I would suggest is that yes, there are shelter boxes available for use at events and things like that. Please contact Care and he will coordinate that in terms of getting that so that we can either get the one south from Kinross or the one. But you know, certainly to the best of my knowledge, there are the two, although somebody did say one of them maybe has got some bits and pieces. I believe, but I'm not entirely sure on that.
Alan Norris, Bit Rotary. Could somebody please remind me the cost of a shelter box?
I was going to say 600, is in the yeah, it's in that one. But what I would say, anybody who's unsure, the best person is Care. He is currently out of the country, which is the reason he's not here today, unfortunately, but he's due back in the next few days or so, I understand. But I'll pop his contact details into the next newsletter, so keep an eye on that and make sure that you reach out to him. He is absolutely more than happy, and he's gone out to a number of clubs and supported some of their fundraisers as well, and delighted to come along and speak to clubs. And he also has a band of other volunteers in your local area who will speak to you and give you an update on what's happening in Shelter Box. Please use and abuse them, like all of the district team, we're here to support you. So yeah, you'll be delighted to get out.
Okay, the next bit of the agenda. Last year we did a very broad brush district health check, and we promised this year we'd do it in more detail, which is what we did. So we've got responses in. So Alistair Robb will take us through the results and the comments and some of the implications for it. Round of applause for Alistair.
Okay. First of all, the responses came back in a couple of different formats, but I think the easiest one to show is the pie chart. And we're going to see a theme emerging here as we go through it. And that theme is that the majority of people, for each of the questions, actually gave a positive response. We either agreed or strongly agreed with pretty much all of the questions. So I'm not going to dwell massively on this part of it because it's really fairly repetitive. You see that we're almost 50% positive, 84% positive, 81%, under 70, under 50 for that one. I think that question there was fairly interesting because it does reflect the kind of potential lack of diversity and a lot of other things. Club weekends are really 81%, 83% of the club weekends. So most people are still happy with the weekend. TV 70%. Get rid of all formality, 80% are some of the Graham spoke about earlier, which is how we've been able to change, and certainly over the last 5-6 years that I've been involved at district level, I've seen a huge change in clubs. It really has been pretty fantastic. I mean, we don't probably realise it until you actually look back to what we were doing 6 years ago. And as Graham said, the DG would be standing there with a shirt and dialer and a jacket and asking permission if you had to take your jacket off and that sort of thing. So we have come a long way. So, in summary, we had 225 responses from 73 clubs. So as far as a percentage of members, not fantastic, it was over 10%, which wasn't too bad, but a good spread of clubs there, almost 87% of clubs responded to the questionnaire. As I said already, almost all of the questions had predominantly positive response, but what we also asked for when we went through it was just leave a comment. Put your comments in as you go. And the comments made for far more interesting reading than actually the raw data that came out. So I've said here at the bottom, any comment that was made that referred directly to a club or a person, we've either redacted it or removed that comment completely. Some of the comments that were made were very specific to particular clubs and a situation in that particular club. So they were really outliers and all this, but I wanted to get a general feeling of how people felt. So as far as the responses went, there were 73 comments made at the end of the questionnaire. And these are some of the positive ones. Happy with the areas we participate, no issues, happy with the areas where we engage, happy with the club and how it's run. But this one in red here I thought was very interesting, and it raises a huge point that we really have to dig down and get to the bottom of. And this person said that he'd been secretary of the club for around 12 years. They enjoyed the support of district and district secretaries. And then the bit I've underlined here, the key is that district should offer support when required. It must not fall into the mistake of micromanaging clubs. We enjoy the autonomy, which is central to clubs, being able to take decisions. And I agree with that 100%. That is part of my fundamental belief about Rotary, is that clubs are autonomous and they have to be allowed to get on and do what they should do. But it's this line that we have where people will say to the district team, but district don't support us. And other people will say, you're always on top of us, you're always telling us to do more about membership, do this, do that. So we need to find out where that balance is, and that's something where we're going to have to probably come back to the membership again in the very near future to find out what level of engagement you need and want with the district team, where you need that support. Because we don't want to be wasting our time supporting clubs with things that they're perfectly happy with. We need to be out there supporting clubs that need our help, whether that's with membership, with public image, with many of the things that we could potentially help them with. And that, I think, is the important part for this current district team and for the district teams coming forward in the next few years, that we find that way to re-engage with their clubs again, and re-engage with them in a very positive way, and re-engage with them in a way that is helpful to the clubs at all times. So that was my big takeaway from those comments. Some of the negative ones, or less positive ones, but membership accounted for almost 50% of the comments. Probably just what we expected. And a lot of them about age of membership, track down younger members, increasing members, and people willing to take on positions within clubs, which I think is a recurring theme. I've seen a couple of clubs recently who have almost been on the verge of closing down, not because of a lack of numbers, but just because of a lack of people willing to take on those jobs. So again, that's something we need to have a big conversation about. We need to talk about how we can overcome these problems and how we can put together something. And there's not a solution in here that's going to suit everyone. Every club is different, so we need to find a way around how we can help clubs in the job. Comment here, we've successfully modernised the club, but the numbers are still low. and they think the biggest problem we have is the Rotary identity. I can kind of empathise with that in a way. I do think that at a time when it was very much the local businessman from your high street who all got up every Tuesday at lunchtime and put their jacket on and went off to the Rotary Club, there was very much an identity about Rotary at that time. I'm not saying it was a good identity or even one that we want, but it did have an identity at that point. So it's, again, something we need to get back within our clubs, within our communities, and I think we can do that through tying this in with public image. I think the public image that D.G. Brown spoke about, and the way that the Press and Journal adverts are being used really to raise our profile, I think that hopefully will help very much and go a long way to giving us back that image that we want again. This next one, please keep us informed on successful strategies that other clubs utilise to engage current and future membership. Again, DG there has just spoken about how we could work together was the big one, wasn't it? And I think that's an important thing. We have to take, I think, membership, and Jim's probably out doing one of these things now, but it's a conversation that we need to have with Jim. But Steve Rinnan, for those of you who know the PI chair, has put together a very successful WhatsApp group where there's an awful lot of information being exchanged, an awful lot of help being given on things like these banners and where we are. And I think we need to now do the same for membership. I think every club needs to be part of that chart that goes on over membership and where we've had successes and where we've been able to get them. Again, not everything's going to work for every club. But just being able to read that and go, that might just be the thing that we need. So let's try and get together and look at how we can get sharing and knowledge between clubs. Alternative ways to help people who would like to join. It's really a cost question, is it? I think we've kind of done cost today. We know that the actual cost of Rotary is not massively high. But a lot of it is about what the clubs impose on people. And getting the balance right and doing what we do well and continuing to do it versus new and different stuff to attract members. That is such a big thing. Everyone in this club at some point, everyone in this room at some point or other will have had that conversation at a club meeting where someone says, oh no, we can't do that. That's just going to happen. I'm doing a meeting last Tuesday. Someone suggesting something, so we've got to get that balance right. And I think clubs desperately want something that people within clubs that want to do new things, that want to change things, and other ones who are kind of digging their heels in. But generally, if we can keep on, and I think this is getting back to what I said about over the last 5 years, 6 years, where I've seen things really progress. And I started off 6 years ago very naively as a relatively young man. Young and naive, let's say, and I believed that I could change things like that, that the pubs could change like that. You start their fingers and suddenly stop wearing ties, stop doing this. And it hasn't happened that way. It's taken 6 years, and we've seen small incremental movements. And as long as we keep on making those movements forward, we're heading right. We're already miles in front of most other districts in this country. I mean, Britain, not just Scotland. We're miles in front of them. So let's keep that moving. But that part there is important. That we do just continually just keep pushing those boundaries a wee bit, doing something different, doing something out of our comfort zone. 10% of comments are about public image. When publicity by professional organisation, hopefully that's what we're entering into now with the press and journal stuff. Keeping the website up to date. We have a webmaster, but if you want to keep up to date, we feed them with the right information to update it. So again, we have to look at the mechanism how that information is all funneled back to a webmaster. People seem to like what we're doing with the press and journal. But they're also asking for help in improving the social media presence. I think that's a big thing. I really do believe that we can look at doing something bigger on social media, rather than our own little club things. We can push for something a wee bit bigger on social media. Publicity, we would have Rotary kind of picked up that material for us to circulate on Facebook, and that got me thinking, you know, it may be possible that we can push something out. You think about the Press and Journal advert, and that is going out to, I think in the days that it was around about 19,000 people, I think that's the leadership of the Press and Journal. We have 88 clubs. And if each of those 88 clubs' Facebook page has even 1,000 followers, and we send by email a wee poster to every single one of the clubs and say, put it out on the Facebook page on Sunday night, and they will immediately got 88,000 people seeing it rather than the 19,000 that are going to see an advert in the Press and Journal. So simple. One person takes that thing and uploads it onto their Facebook page. But we all do it every club at the same time. Something to think about, that we can have a massive impact very, very quickly by doing that. Getting people to then share it and like and share and do all these sort of things. Suddenly you find that that reach has gone from 88,000 to 160,000 to quarter of a million people. So it's certainly something I think that we can work on as a district, but we've got to, again, what I thought we had said together. We only do it if we decide to all do it. And some of them are printable comments, because they were not all printable. Not convinced that I fully understand the folk-based challenges. I couldn't agree with you. The clubs, and every club faces its own challenges and their own individual challenges, and there is no magic bullet that's going to solve them, unfortunately. But what we can do is we can work together and we can support each other as clubs. Perhaps after many years of changing meeting venue, that kind of goes back to some of the things I've been pushing over the last 5-6 years with this VG and its membership. And that is, you know, trying to get away from the traditional venues, but in some places it's not easy to do that. Some places it's not as easy as just moving away. People then asking for specific things, help with global grant applications, help with PR again, and it'd be good to see a VG innovation. That brings me to the next step, which is that we do know, and Graham mentioned earlier on, that there is a shortage of AGs. So we're looking at various things. We are looking at a possible slight jigging of the areas to allow us to possibly get better usage of the AGs that we have already. But there also has been changes to the rules now that allow us to bring people into the AG position who previously wouldn't have been qualified for it. So we can now take people who haven't been a club president, I think I'm correct in saying, and those people can operate as AGs. We can also use past district governors, which again was at one time frowned upon. So past district governors, watch out because I'm coming. You will be. So yeah, we hope to solve a great thing, but certainly help the AG situation and make sure that people are seeing their AGs regularly. We're looking at how AGs communicate with their clubs, the frequency of that, and do we really need as many of the face-to-face meetings or on Zoom, that sort of thing. But anyway, the AG situation is something that we are looking at. Skills, now we've already done at least one, I think, online about setting up skills. But if that's something that clubs are still looking for help with, it's something we can run on a regular basis. So our IPI are not going to take a lead on that because it's a contract. Clubs are not done that, so we're going to stay that. We don't want our IPI tell us. So if that's something that clubs want, please shout out and we can run that Zoom session again, and hopefully get more clubs set up that way. So, that's not right. So that's me finished. That really is where we're at. Okay, there's no conclusions from that, other than that we have more to work on, we have more to talk about, and I think that's probably the next step now, is to open up the discussions again with clubs, to see where we can dig down in the areas where we need to dig down on that, and offer some more support. So, thank you very much.
So I'm going to get a little bit, he's going to make the potential make others work, let's say. So I would absolutely encourage anyone just to make any comment or observation. As I say, we've got about 6 minutes or so in terms of that, but I think we're still going to be on track in terms of that aspect of it.
Right, Gordon Hepburn, Balgownie. I think it was, if you go back, can you go back 3 or 4 slides? There's the one with all the text on it, yeah. Yeah. The alternative ways to help people join. I mean, you had the old, now defunct associate membership, which my understanding was give them a year or 2 years and then get them into full membership. This new Friends of Rotary category, is the same expectation there? Or can they remain friends?
I'm going to pass that over to Jane Claire, if you don't mind.
I didn't quite hear the question.
The question was, associate members, typically the aspiration was that somebody would join, perhaps be an associate member for a couple of years, with a view to becoming a full member, ideally. However, is the same of Friends of Rotary? Is it the same as Friends of Rotary, or can somebody be a friend of Rotary for an indefinite period? Is that it, Gordon?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Indefinite period, pretty easy.
Yeah.
Associate members, you're absolutely right, it was a try before you buy. Come in, and if you like it, within 2 years you should can start. It was being abused. We even had some full members transferring back to associate members. For the sake of as many quid, of 85 and 285. That's all the difference was. Friends of Rotary, as long as you want. Of course, you've then got the opportunity to convert them, and that's up to you to do that. So as long as you want.
I think as well, Gordon, what I would say in that same subject is there has been a huge uptake in the corporate membership in this district. An awful lot of clubs having some great successes, so possibly speaking to someone like Bill, like 70 people or so, what people, clubs who have managed to do well with that, because it really has, it's been an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, and am I correct in thinking that for corporate membership, there's only one member fee?
Yes. So corporate membership is, there's one lead member who's on the Rotary database,
yeah.
And they've got an option of taking in 3 associates. Associates a bad word. But 3 colleagues who can attend in their place or whatever. And obviously, if the corporation is joining, feels flush, there's nothing stopping them putting in 2 or 3 or more. But yes, it's 1 + 3. And there's plenty of material on the GB&I website on that. How many clubs here have got corporate members? So the others that don't, there's the people to speak to.
And if you can join the WhatsApp group, there is a WhatsApp group for corporate membership, either clubs who are already doing it, to share their experience, or for those who want to learn more. Let me, Brian or Graham know, and we can get you added. I'm just doing a bit of going, who's on that WhatsApp group, and with that reminder that people only be there for 90 days, so use it and lose it. The conversation, but yeah.
I should put up one on our club's got one.
Yeah.
So the club with the most is Newton Abbott, 24 corporate members.
So my question is along the same line. Sorry, is that me or someone else? Oh, right, okay. So there is a suggestion that either can't afford or put off by membership fees. This is a serious issue for working people like myself. Recently, my club, by the way, I'm Chantal Morimi from Glenrosses Rotary Club. So recently, my club decided to increase the membership fee by 60%. And I'm seriously thinking to leave the club, which would be a pity because I'm only one of the two who are under 65 at the moment. So how do we actually discuss this at district level? Because that generally does put people off because everything is going up. You know, I have a mortgage, I have bills. How do we encourage people and find a pot where people like me don't end up leaving the club because they simply can't afford it?
Unfortunately, that's not, it's a conversation that's been had at district level, but we can't dictate the club's open choice. There is, as David spoke about, there is the Rotary Great Britain Islands fee of £85 this year. There's a district fee of £9. Anything over and above that is what your club has chosen to add to. That's the point where every year when you have your budget meeting, your SGM, that you should be objecting at that point and saying no.
We did. I mean, a number of us voted against the idea of increasing, but I wouldn't have minded if it was even maybe 25%, 30%. But unfortunately, again, when it comes to vote, they go by the majority, don't they? And the problem is, so I used to pay foundation. You know how you can put an extra, I think it was £25. The problem is with this, if I choose to stay, I'm gonna have to stop paying that foundation money. So really, again, foundation is the one that losing here because I simply can't afford to pay that and then pay the £25 on top of that. So it is the elephant in the room actually when it comes to younger people joining the Rotary. But anyway, yeah, maybe it's a difficult one.
Alistair Campbell, Ellen. Alistair, going back to your red section, I think part of the trouble that we have is that, and I've heard it here today, we're still talking about rhetoric like that. RI at the top, and core members away at the bottom dictation. Whereas we should go back to talking about Rotary that way, where the members are at the top and everybody else is there to support the members. District support the members, RRBI to support the district, and RI way down here somewhere.
Put that in the right thing and send it to Ulster.
But we've gone through this before many years ago.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of trying that at a local level. So there is only what we can influence, and we very much do speak as a team. It is the district support team. Everything that goes out is the district support team.
We are supporting clubs, but not telling clubs.
But even so, somebody said we send out an instruction and the clubs aren't aware. I can't remember what it was. It was something even today. And I thought, no, that way.
I'm not aware of us instructing clubs.
In fairness, I do instruct clubs to. My job is to support you, and my job is to make sure that you can put your different line certificate for all the secretaries out there. Because if something goes wrong, at least I've tried. So yes, I put my hand up and things like that. And David probably instructs because he's looking for the money, which is a daytime different from me usually looking for the money.
One of my great arguments I had with the Catherine Chorley, it was one area where we always disagree. Carth liked to put out one instruction on an email. She'd send out an email, and if someone months later said, I didn't get that email, I don't care. It was sent. I always felt that I would take my lead from the way that business works. And if you're Mr. Asda or Mr. Sainsbury, you will use many different forms of advertising to contact your customers. You will use Facebook, you will use email, you will use whatever, TikTok. And I tried to get through to Catherine on a number of occasions, but you can't just send out one email and hope that everyone has read it and reacted to it there and then, that we've got to keep following this up. So again, I empathise. I don't agree with telling people what to do, but I think we need to, for instances like today, for example, you know, but we have to reach that balance between, are you clogging people's inboxes just full of the same thing over and over again, or but it's a difficult balance to reach, Alistair, but I absolutely take it.
Thanks, Kennedy. We move on. I use this teaching model. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them.
Let's thank Alistair.
I'm back to Graham.
It's you. Oh, it's okay, no, you don't need that.
I don't need that.
You know, you just going to speak.
I'm just going to speak, and I'm not going to speak for long, Joe. And also, if it was me who said that we were struggling to do something, I apologise. I didn't mean to. It's not allowing to work at all. We are getting the support team. And speaking of the support team, how many times have we heard of people saying, "Oh, district do that," or "district do this"? What people forget is we are all district. There is a district support team that we put together to try to support the clubs, and that is the reason the HRP in there is to make sure that the clubs have the support and the help that they need when they want to do something. But the support team can't exist without people standing up and saying, "I'll help." Said earlier we're short of AGs, but we're short of other jobs as well. There are lots of important roles that are in the team that we need people to help with. This year we were quite lucky that most of the people from Brian's year, sorry, this year being my year coming, no, not my year, 25-26 coming, our year, most of the people from the current year have agreed to stay on and do the work that they've been doing this year, but a significant number of them are coming to the end of their tenure. Most of the jobs are for 3 years or 5 years, and people are already saying, "This will be my last year." So next year, there will be more jobs available. Right, Alistair will be standing here, or hopefully they'll have sorted out by now, but there's a danger he'll be standing here saying, "We are short of X number of AGs, etc." We might not even have a secretary, Carol, can't be prepared to stay for a vote here. And I wouldn't blame her if she doesn't, because it isn't this year's job.
If somebody would love to help me, job shared, a job halved, and a job easier.
Exactly.
It's more than a formal queue.
Come in now, work with her for a year so you can learn the job, and just make it easier. You talked to it at the end of the time. And remember that, like the rest of, well, many hands make light work. The more people we get working with us, the better. I've said there are jobs, if we can turn those jobs into teams, that would be even better. So, Alison there with our shop. What if we get 2 or 3 people to help Alison sell the stuff in the canteen? Rose with young musician. No, not Rose. Fiona with young musician. That's a huge job for making that young musician work. And you see how successful it was. It'll get a good kudos for the district. But Fiona puts in a power of work to pull that together across the district. More things like that, more people helping her would be great. Or even there are jobs that just haven't got anybody. Like, would it be great to have some support, some sport events happening across the district again? Remember we used to have the curling and the bowling, and I think there are more examples of that just now. So up in the North East they even do dang competitions. But how about getting out there? Somebody put their hand up and say, "I would like to help organise that across the district." Or even better, 2 or 3 people saying, "I'd like to help organise it across the district." How much more fun would that make Rotary with that as well as all the projects that we do? But we're just all, so the current district support team and next year's district support team, we're Rotary members, ordinary Rotary members like you. We've still got our club work to do as well. Most of us have got a club role as well as a district role, district support role. He's probably going to stop saying this. I don't mean that, but it's district support. I said, anybody, we can persuade anybody to come and help us. Come and chat to Brian or to me and to Alistair or to Darryl, and we'll get you on board. And you've heard it all before, but it's worth saying again.
I should say, shortage of district team officers is not just in Aberdeen. Quite a lot of other districts that you say problem. And the AG meeting we had a couple of weeks ago down in Warwick, where AG is looking at colleagues looking at splitting up some of these jobs, so that's not one big onerous job that can be divided up. John, district conference.
Hello everybody. The district conference is round the corner, not too far away now, because Brian should be May for me and give me a week less to work on. So we're back in Dundee, Garden Theatre. It's our 74th year of conference. I feel like I've organized quite a few now. And we're celebrating the magic. At the Guideline Theatre, and we have our main speakers. We've got Philip Wilborn coming to speak to us. He's that one. So Philip has been instrumental in developing the environmental social governance policy for Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, which was adopted in September 2024. He has initiatives like the Great Green Read, which encouraged underprivileged children to express their thoughts on environmental issues. And he's basically one of the foremost people in the country on environmental issues due to, he looks into things like government and buildings on insurance for buildings affected by floods and anything else in that. So environmental focus very much his background. We'll also have Caitlin Sweeney, who's a project engagement manager for the Eden project, which obviously is one of the big things coming into Dundee, and with the focus on developing that project, and she'll be speaking to us as well. We'll also have a young musician, not be confirmed who it is yet, but obviously with what's been going on today, there might be a push to try and get the person that won, so it would be really good as well. And we also have Dustin Magician doing a talk on magic, because magic and Rotary, and doing a few tricks in the afternoon. That's all fully 9:30 to 4:30 during the day. In the evening, we're at the Invercarse Hotel for an evening 2-course supper and with coffee. And Dusty the Magician will be doing table magic, so we'll be going around the tables doing some magic while we're eating our meals. And then we have Dancing Feet, Ceilidh Band. Now, those of you that were at the Perth conference and were there at night will have heard this band. They're absolutely brilliant. There's only 2 of them, but they play with a lot of electronic stuff, so they've got the loop pedals and everything else. Absolutely brilliant sound, and they play any sort of music. They say they're a Ceilidh Band, but they do anything. They did requests on that day, and I remember one of the Rotarians going up and actually taking over the microphone and singing the song as well. So, a really fun duo. It should be a fun night. And as I said, I've tried to keep what I do with the conference and everything else. Obviously, we've got a wee subvention which covers hire and everything else. So the only cost that we have is actually the catering. And year on year, these things go up. Since COVID, the amounts have gone up and up and up. But I've tried to keep it to a reasonable cost and encourage as many people as we can to come along. But just remember, it's not just a single day. It could be the weekend, you could be down to stay. So there's other things to do in Dundee. So it's a great place to have a weekend if you want to do that. And on the Friday night, potentially we'll have a get together somewhere, it's not confirmed yet, but we're working on that, and that will be at no cost. But the actual costs are £27.50 for the daytime and £32.50 for the evening. So a combined cost of £60 per person if you want to have a whole day. And the tickets will be on sale again, same as we've got the tickets through today. It'll be through Eventbrite, and the link will be sent, well, hopefully Carol, 1st of April.
If you get it to me, I'll pop it in.
So, can I just encourage you to ask your members to go, and remember, if you're going down with a car and you've got 3 spare seats, encourage some other people to come, and that'll mean transport won't be as much, but it is a nice central and easy place to get. Thank you very much.
An extra headcount that told us not to have a microphone. Right, I think that takes us to the end of the session. I've a couple of remarks. I'll keep them for the very end of the day. Thank you all for coming. More interesting thoughts. Thank you for all
You think they're well? I just spoke to the elephant before I came.
Retired and had